Hello and welcome to this week's Liberty Update. The big story this week is Comey's testimony, and in case you didn't see everyone all over the news and Twitter talking about it, there were some pretty big revelations. First, it turns out that the Comey memo leaked to the New York Times was leaked by Comey. He admitted to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that he purposefully gave the memo to a friend with the instructions to leak it to the New York Times, which is ironic as the FBI is typically the organization investigating leaks. He told the committee that he did it for the noble purpose of hoping it would make everyone so mad that the Russia investigation would end up getting a special counsel. But, you see, he wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been for Trump tweeting that there might have been tapes. After that tweet, he says he woke up in the dead of night, remembered his memo, and decided to give it to a friend rather than leak it to the press himself for the comfort of his family. So a lot of people are blaming Trump on this one, but let's be real, a special counsel would have been appointed eventually one way or another. Comey did previously testify that he had never leaked anything to the press and had never asked anyone to leak anything on his behalf, but that testimony was actually several days before the leak, so technically at that time he wasn't lying. Well, I mean, he still could have been lying, but not about that particular leak. When asked, he also agreed to release his memos to the public. Or at least I think he did. He said, sure, whatever that means. So I guess we're getting memos at some point. Second big what the fuck moment, though if you understand how government works, it probably shouldn't be a what the fuck moment and should only be a meh moment, is that Comey colluded with then Attorney General Loretta Lynch to downplay the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Sorry, I mean matter. The email probe was expressly supposed to be referred to as a matter and not a big bad investigation, because investigations are serious and scary business. We can't have that for Miss Hillary Clinton. He says that this, along with the secret Bill Clinton meeting, is what prompted him to announce his decision on the investigation without the Justice Department, because he figured the Justice Department was already on the Hillary train. He says, though, that this revelation didn't affect his decision not to recommend charges, but that he made the decision as he felt it was the best way to protect the FBI. Not to serve justice, but to protect the FBI. Chew on that one a little bit. In the end, he complied with Lynch's request to adopt the Clinton campaign's own language on the probe because, quote, it wasn't a hill worth dying on, which means he agreed to purposefully use misleading language when discussing the investigation. I mean matter. And for anyone who says that this is not collusion, the dictionary definition says it is. Comey also said during the hearing that Trump's reasons for firing him were lies, plain and simple. He went so far as to call Trump's statements defamation. He did, however, testify that Trump asked him to drop the Flynn investigation but not the Russia investigation, as some people have accused him of. Comey declined to accuse Trump of obstructing justice. He also told the committee that a New York Times story about Trump's aides having repeated contacts with Russia was almost entirely wrong. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is under investigation herself for like the 100th time, as Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley has launched a new investigation into whether she meddled in a Bangladesh corruption probe in order to help out a Clinton Foundation donor. But no one's really talking about that because for some reason journalists love Hillary Clinton even though she might be one of the most corrupt politicians to ever hold office. Or maybe what it really is that they really don't want to say anything because then, you know, they might have a mysterious accident and wind up dead because, you know, that happens a lot. Also, a little bit of an update to the Evergreen State College story I reported on last week. For those of you who didn't see it, the basic gist is that Professor Brett Weinstein spoke out against a day of absence that would have required all white students and faculty to leave campus to provide a safe space for Black activism when traditionally on the day, Black students would voluntarily leave campus in an act of protest similar to the Day Without a Woman protest. And now this sent some of the students and other professors protesters into an uproar that ended with an angry mob taking over the school and holding the president and other faculty members hostage while students made demands. The school's president, George Bridges, complied with almost all the demands except for firing Weinstein, and when we last left Evergreen, it had closed down for 2 days due to an unnamed threat. So, turns out that that threat was actually someone calling up and threatening to go to the college with a gun because of said protests and violence. The school reopened over the weekend but was shut down again on Monday after a second threat was allegedly made Sunday night. The campus reopened late Monday afternoon with extra police officers stationed on the property. Local police told the Washington Post that the school has also suffered about $10,000 worth of property damage, including graffiti and broken windows. We also now have a head count on the number of student protesters who barricaded the president and other faculty in an office. The county sheriff says that it was approximately 300 students who were involved in this incident and, as reported, did, in fact, barricade doors and windows to prevent staff from leaving. He also said that both county and state police are going to be brought in to help with added police presence at the school. Some protesters have come out against Weinstein getting national attention, saying it is just another example of the power of white privilege and supremacy. They claim that Weinstein is painting himself as a victim and that that is a false narrative, because being run off campus by an angry mob and being the target of violent threats is apparently just like no big deal. They also claim that Weinstein is ignorant and that the protests and yelling and screaming were supposed to teach him a lesson. A lesson, in fact, to pay attention to, quote, the student body that pays his salary. Now, I think that this would be a great time to point out that most of the school's money actually comes from state funding. In-state tuition costs just over $7,000. Most of the school's students are considered to be low income or below the poverty level. 71% receive financial aid, and the average financial aid package is 10 grand. So no, these students are not the ones paying this professor's salary. More than 50 faculty members have also come out in protest and in a public letter released June 2nd, accused Weinstein of putting the school and community in danger by speaking out against the day of absence. The letter, which was apparently on Google Drive, seems to have been deleted, but again, the internet is forever, and so the letter remains up thanks to the college fix. Here are some highlights. We vehemently reject the claim that students have been violent simply because they have been loud and emphatic. There is a difference between exercising the right to freely voice an opinion and inciting violence, and that difference has nothing to do with volume and forcefulness. We support the demands made by students and honor the positive institutional change they have already achieved through their protests. So, false imprisonment isn't violence, and that 10 grand of property damage just sort of happened on its own. In solidarity with students, we call for the Evergreen administration to center student perspectives in a persistent media approach to counter the alt-right narratives that are demonizing Evergreen and Day of Absence specifically. Demonstrate accountability by pursuing a disciplinary investigation against Brett Weinstein according to guidelines in the Social Contract and Faculty Handbook. Weinstein has endangered faculty, staff, and students, making them targets of white supremacist backlash by promulgating misinformation in public emails, on national television, in news outlets, and on social media. I should also point out that the Social Contract and Faculty Handbook holds an entire section about freedom of speech in bold. But maybe these professors haven't read it. They should probably check on that. But one lonely professor has come out in support of Weinstein, writing his own email on June 1st. He sent it to the school faculty list and has tried to get it published by local news outlets who have apparently all refused. It was published, however, by a group of professors focused on political diversity who call themselves Heterodox Academy. In it, he talks about the importance of being exposed to varying viewpoints as the antidote to identity politics and polarization. Now Evergreen has taken from me the medicine needed to cure the illness. Even worse, the college is now contributing to the vilification, paranoia, and irrational rhetoric that fuels hatred and violence. The antidote has now become toxic. Then our college president saw his opportunity. Evergreen administrators sent out ominous notices labeling free speech advocates and persons who simply do not agree with official campus opinion as potentially violent. It was a desperate move, using fear tactics to rally the masses and prevent students from thinking clearly. This morning was the first time that I was actually nervous coming to campus, not because of threats of white supremacists, but because I was worried that someone on campus would think that I might be one of them. He also stated that many other faculty members on campus support Weinstein, but that they're afraid to come forward for the same reasons. According to the Washington Times, the lawmakers who have proposed pulling state funding from the school wrote their own letter to the administration last week, calling the school and its students an embarrassment, and accusing the school of providing, quote, a dystopia of indoctrination. That's pretty harsh. That update actually took a lot longer than I thought it would, so that's where I'm going to end today's episode. As always, if you like my videos, please like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about the issues. And if you really like my videos and want to help support my channel, you can also help by supporting me on Patreon. Until next week, thanks for watching and helping me to spread the message of liberty.